So there's the costs, what costs make up owning a home. There's the costs that everybody knows about. And then there's some more kind of hidden costs, and then there's some really hidden costs.
Okay.
That specifically first-time home buyers might not be factoring in when they're trying to figure out, can they afford to buy their first home?
Here he is. He is back. Your realty expert, John Brodeen, in the studio. Hey, man.
Hey, what's happening?
Oh, I got kind of a turkey hangover today. How about you?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, did you get enough of your bread stuffing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can never get enough.
Well, yeah, is there such thing as enough? I don't know.
No. And in fact, certain foods, and that is one of them, I like better as a leftover.
Yeah.
Put it in the fridge overnight,
True
heat
that.
it up again tomorrow in the microwave, and oh, man, I am happy. In fact, if I just had the dressing or the stuffing, I'd be good to go pretty much
Wonder
for the whole
why
thing.
that is.
I know. I don't know. I mean, I'm a good eater.
Yeah.
I like all foods. But yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know.
It's a mystery.
Good turnout though. Thanksgiving for you.
Yeah, it was fun.
Big plans for the weekend.
I'm not sure what we got going on this weekend.
Okay.
Things have been a little more quiet now with we got two kiddos to chase after.
Now you
One
got
of
two
them's a
kids.
Baby, so
Yeah. And now
just
you feel
surviving.
obligated to stay home and help your wife, I'm guessing, a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we start high school hockey today. I do. So I got I get to call East Side and Red River this afternoon, so that ought to be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are those two teams doing this year so far?
I East Side's a little down. Red River, they really haven't got their start yet in North Dakota. Minnesota's been playing for a while, so
Is it Red River's first game of the year?
it might be. I know Central played the other day, and then Central will play East Side tomorrow.
Okay.
So yeah, we got all kinds of hockey going on.
Fun. So you call it for the radio?
Yeah.
Is that what it
Yep.
is? Okay.
Yep. I work for a certain radio station in town here, and
It's a fun job.
Oh yeah, I've been doing it for 40 some
Yeah,
years. So
yeah.
I got out of radio business, but there's certain things you can't just take out of a guy, and that play-by-play is one of them. I
could see you
absolutely
being good
love
at
doing
the
it.
play-by-play
Yeah,
on sports.
hockey's greatest sport in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's that time talking about realty stuff. Now, first-time home buyers, things like that. There's people that have rented maybe their entire adult life, and you always have them saying, that they dream about owning their first home.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of people realize what all is entitled and what all you have to pay for when you have a house. But what is actually, if you can figure this out, the monthly cost of owning a home?
Yeah, so there's the costs, what costs make up owning a home. There's the costs that everybody knows about, and then there's some more kind of hidden costs, and then there's some really hidden costs.
Okay.
That specifically first-time home buyers might not be factoring in when they're trying to figure out, can they afford to buy their first home.
Sure.
So I'm going to go through these. I'll start with the ones that everybody knows about: principal and interest. And like I always say, part of the main reason you want to be able to stay in your house for a long time is the principal and the interest. Imagine like a hockey stick curve, where the camera's over there, so I should go this way. You're starting off with very little in those first months of your loan. Very little of your house payment is going towards principal.
Sure.
And most of it's interest. And this is going to continue getting higher and higher the more years you get into your loan, until you're in those final years of your loan where you're paying mostly principal and very little interest.
Yeah, so it's kind of a almost,
it's like
one going up, the other one's going down.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the reason I tell people to plan to stay in your house for a while is, imagine over 15 years, you buy a house and you stay in that same house for 15 years. Think of how much equity you've built up because you've stayed in that thing. So you've seen your payments start getting allocated more and more towards principal and less towards interest. Whereas me, I've moved 5 times in those same 15 years. So I've perpetually been in the first 3 years of my mortgage for 15 years.
Okay, sure.
Not factoring in appreciation, we're just talking about loan pay down. You've gotten a lot more loan pay down than I have. Plus, I've had to pay brokerage fees in order to sell my house and title fees and all the other costs of selling multiple times. Part of the reason I say stay in your home for a long time.
So are you better off, if you're especially a first-time home buyer and homeowner and you're not used to this stuff, are you better off maybe not looking to see what your balance is on your mortgage for maybe the first couple of years just so you don't get depressed about it? Because like you said, it's going to change and you're going to notice it, but it takes a little while.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
I know now I like to look at it and see where it's gotten down
Sure.
to, but yeah, in those first years,
Right,
it's
right.
a little bit discouraging. Most people don't know that. It's not like you're paying the same amount of principal and same amount of interest for the life of your loan. You know,
Yeah.
those things change, even though your principal and interest portion of your payment stays the same as long as you don't refi.
Yeah, you don't want to be thinking, gosh, I wish I never would have bought a house now.
Yeah.
You don't want to think that way.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So, okay. So what's in your mortgage payment? We talked about principal and interest. Something that most people have heard about, maybe they don't know that much about it, is mortgage insurance, also known as PMI. If you're putting less than 20% down on your home, as long as you're not using a VA loan, you're going to have PMI. If you're using a VA loan, you have a funding fee, which is kind of similar, except it's upfront.
Okay.
If you're putting less than 20% down, usually people, when they're buying their first home, are putting between like 3 and 5%
Right,
down.
right.
Most
20% is a
commonly.
lot of big chunk of ching.
Yeah, 20% is a big chunk of change. You're going to have PMI. It's going to cost, I think, usually in the ballpark of 0.5% to 1% of your loan amount per year. Okay. So that's another thing that gets tacked onto your monthly costs. Next up, this is probably going to be in your payment as well, but you're escrowing for these things. So meaning that you are contributing into an account that your lender is kind of managing, and they're going to pay these things on your behalf, which is property taxes and homeowners insurance.
Yep.
Okay. Property taxes in Grand Forks are right around 1.62% of the home's value per year. Okay. Your homeowners insurance, most people have probably seen this, but homeowners insurance has gone up a little bit lately. But so you definitely want to get an estimate for homeowners insurance when you're trying to figure out exactly what your payment's going to be, because both of those things are going to be factored into your monthly payment.
Yeah.
So when people think of a house payment, they're thinking of principal, interest, mortgage insurance if you're putting less than 20% down, property taxes, and homeowners insurance. The other thing, if you're buying a condo or a townhome in Grand Forks, is you're probably going to have an association fee. Okay. So that's also going to be factored in. That's going to get escrowed for. I think that's how they typically do it, is they escrow for it. When they're trying to figure out how much you can afford, they're going to include the association fee and what the payment's going to be when they're trying to figure out your debt to income ratio and whatnot.
Sure. And another thing, too, that you do not have to worry about with your mortgage is your property tax and your insurance, because
Correct.
it's all in there with the escrow. But
Yep.
like me, I mean, it was a rude awakening for me. You can't wait to you finally pay off your house, and then it's like, oh, crap, we have to pay this now? And then you got your
And it's
property
one lump
insurance.
sum out of pocket
Yeah.
instead of
Your property taxes and your house insurance. And those are surprising, too.
Yeah, it feels a little crappier when you have to make the lump sum payments
Yeah.
out of pocket rather than just contributing towards it monthly.
Absolutely.
When we're talking about our house payment, principal, interest, mortgage insurance, if applicable, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and association fees, if applicable, we want to make sure a good rule of thumb is to try to keep that amount less than 25%, maybe 30% if you're lower income or if you're in a more expensive area. Keep it between, beneath 30% of your monthly income. Okay.
Okay.
That's a good rule of thumb to avoid getting in a situation where you're house poor. Your mortgage lender will pre-approve you for more than that, but that's just a good rule of thumb. If you absolutely need a certain size house because of your family size, you can break these rules. But if your main goal, if you don't have any unusual needs, and if you are making a good income, and your main priority is to make a wise financial decision with your home purchase, that's a great rule of thumb to live by. Dave Ramsey would even say, even more conservatively, keep that amount less than 25% of your after-tax monthly income on a 15-year loan.
Okay.
You have to be pretty high income or be in a very cheap area or both to be able to do that.
Okay.
But just another perspective that's out there. Now, more hidden cost when you're buying your first home is you are going to have maintenance and repairs. You no longer can call up your landlord when your roof starts leaking or when your heat stops working. So it's a good idea to budget 1 to 2% of your home's value per year that are going to be for unexpected maintenance and repairs.
Okay.
So that's another cost that a lot of renters don't realize they're going to be responsible for when they move into a house, and they don't know how much it's going to cost either. So on average, I think it usually averages out to around 1 to 2% of your home's value per year.
Okay.
So imagine, if you have a $350,000 house, $3,500 a year to $7,000 a year. Nothing crazy, but if you fail to maintain and repair your house, it's going to make the issues get a lot bigger.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really going to hurt your resale value.
Need to stay on top of that stuff.
Yeah, because you need to treat your home like an investment, and properly maintaining and repairing it is part of protecting that investment.
And, you know, another thing a lot of people don't think of, especially first-time home buyers,
Yeah.
is your maintenance in your yard. I mean, besides snow shovels, snow blowers, lawnmowers, weed whackers, the things like that, not only the cost of having to have that stuff, but finding the time to do it too.
Yeah,
So if you're a really, really busy person, maybe you work more than one job, maybe you're involved with all kinds of extracurricular activities, you also got to budget the time, not only the money, but the time too, to be able to take care of everything, because if not, you're going to have some pretty pissed off neighbors.
Yeah, you can make your neighborhood look ratty if you let your bushes and weeds and grass get super overgrown and unkept. And somebody in that position, they might benefit from looking at townhomes or condos.
Sure.
Because as long as they don't have much of a need for a big yard. In townhomes and condos, that's all taken care of for you.
Yep.
Your homeowner's insurance is usually much less on townhomes and condos because you're only insuring typically what's from the studs in.
Right.
And then you've got a exterior insurance policy that either the association covers or that you cover. But in general, it usually ends up being less than homeowners insurance. And when you have them, when the association hires out the lawn care and snow removal and everything, it ends up being less than if you were to buy, a single family home and you were to hire out the snow removal and lawn care, because chances are a single family home is going to have a bigger yard and you don't have the bargaining power of an association. They're able to get the best prices on snow removal and lawn care because they have the volume of work.
Right. And another good thing about owning your own home and your yard is, if you're one of those people that complains like I do about grocery prices, I tell you what, there's nothing better than fresh garden produce.
There you go.
And you know what? In town, it's a great place to grow your own produce. Maybe you're into pickling and things like that. But man, I absolutely love having a garden.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a whole lot of work as long as those rabbits stay out of there.
They say it's therapeutic. I guess unless the rabbits eat all of your produce, then it's not therapeutic.
And they actually chew holes right through my garden fence to get to my peas and beans. Oh, little bastard.
You gotta have a deterrent for them, like
it's called a 17 mag.
Yeah, that too. Throw a little feeder out on the other side of the yard, keep them occupied or something, so they don't get to the good stuff.
And I hear all this stuff. Well, try mint and try all these other things. And
chives. Do people say that?
Yeah, I think somebody said chives too. I don't know.
22 works pretty good as well.
Yeah, and I've actually got one of those. It omits a sound.
Oh, yeah.
But I've never hooked it up.
Okay.
So I might try that next year.
Those can bother them enough to get them.
I guess that's what they say. That's what they say. So, did you go through everything you have here?
Yeah. That's pretty much everything. I talked about it. Pay attention to, if you're going to be buying a house, you're wondering what's all included in your. Of course, the other thing we didn't talk about is the utilities.
Sure.
Before you buy a house, you're usually able to get utility averages if the previous owner actually lived in the house and was the one paying the bills. So that's important. Make sure those utility bills aren't crazy. And run a full-on budget. Figure out how much you're spending each month on different things before you really dive in and figure out how much home you can afford. Like, look back at the past few months and figure out, on average, how much do I spend on food? How much do I spend on transportation? How much do I currently spend on housing? All the different things you spend money on, and see how that's going to fit in with your current income and living in a home that you own.
And like you've said a million times before, you got to make sure you can still live in that home. So don't overshoot yourself. Don't over budget yourself.
Yep.
But it all starts with getting a hold of a realty expert like John here.
Yep.
And John Brodeen, how do we get a hold of you?
701-213-5428. You can text me or call me on that number. That's my cell phone. Check me out on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Everywhere.
You're on them all.
I'm on them all.
There you go.
Putting out videos and stuff for buyers, first-time buyers, for sellers, for move-up home buyers. Valuable information for everybody thinking about real estate out there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John Brodeen. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, man.
You too.
All right, there you go. That is your Friday edition of your Berkshire Hathaway Biweekly Podcast. There he is, realty expert John Brodeen. And we're wishing you all a happy weekend from all of us at Berkshire Hathaway and Grand Forks Best Source.